I think it would have been nice if The Boys had at least one legit supervillain throughout its run. Hi, I'm Jordan the Nerd of Gold, and while I'm a recent convert to The Boys, I caught up on the first 3 seasons before season 4 dropped, and I've both watched Gen V season 1 and 2 as they dropped weekly. I noticed that there's no real supervillains in the show, and all the heroes in the show are what we'd identify as supervillains, and all the villains are what we would identify as the rebel fighters against an evil empire, that is Vought and the Seven. But, like, there's no serial killer who had Compound V in their system. There's no mobster who had Compound V. There wasn't this one super that Vought couldn't control with Elmira, Red River, or the Woods. There wasn't this one person who could escape and, like, show another side of the evils of Vought and the consequences of making all these supers. Like, what are the Seven actually fighting for the most part? They are fighting regular humans with guns, no matter whether we're talking Americans or across the world. It's kind of weird to me that they never created, like, at least a fake villain for the Seven to regularly fight, like someone that is on their side and on the payroll of Vought, but, like, presented as a supervillain to the public. We don't really get something like that, and we don't get someone who actually escaped and, like, is terrifying. Maybe he or she is not really a threat to the Seven, because the Seven are, generally speaking, the most powerful supers in the world. But it's weird to me that they never created this kind of dynamic or subplot within the film. And I know this kind of pushes them more toward regular superhero stuff, but I still think The Boys could have done something interesting with it in having, like, a legit supervillain and not just, oh, this is Superman, but evil kind of storytelling. And don't get me wrong, I like The Boys a lot. I think they do some really interesting character work, but I do wish they had done that. So I do think there's a possibility for this in Vought Rising, especially when you're trying to early on sell superheroes to the public. They need an enemy to fight. You can't just send them to war all the time and fight regular soldiers, because, I mean, yeah, that looks good for a point, but it also looks kind of like overkill at some point. So I think there's a possibility that they'll have a villain over there on the other side, or The Boys Mexico is going to deal with, I don't know exactly what, but maybe they'll introduce a legit supervillain for The Boys world to fight, and I think that would be a really interesting thing to see. I don't know if we're ever going to get this from The Boys, but I do think it would be interesting to see what they would really do with that.